Hello folks, Eric here, and once again I'd like to welcome you to our Thrifty Survivor YouTube channel. And I want to thank you all for watching. And what I'm going to do for you today is show you how to build a solar still. Now this is not for the purpose of getting intoxicated. This is not for making moonshine or anything along those lines. This is actually a way to to get water in an area where you don't have any ponds, you don't have any lakes, rivers, no pools of water anywhere. You can actually use this system in the middle of a desert. In fact, it works really well in the middle of a desert because the more sun you have, the better this works. Now I'm going to kind of give you a description here as to what's going on. Basically, if you take a glass of water, like you go out to a restaurant and you ask for iced tea, and they bring that glass of iced tea and set it down on the table, they're generally going to put it on a coaster. The reason for that is the condensation that runs off the outside of the glass runs onto the table and it creates rings, okay? And that's the reason for the coaster. Now what that is condensation. It's not because they overfilled the glass, it's not water falling over the edges. That's just simply condensation. The inside of the glass is much colder than the outside of the glass, and it causes water to condensate on the hotter side or the warmer side of the membrane, which in that case is the glass. Now here what we're doing is we're doing the same thing. The difference is we're digging a hole and we're stretching a piece of plastic over the hole, and we're causing the underside of the plastic to be the hot side. So what that does is it causes condensation on the underside of the plastic. The underside is much warmer than the top side of the plastic. And what happens is, essentially you dig a hole about 3 feet across, 18 inches deep. In the middle of the hole, you put, like what I did here is I put a tin can in there. I threw a rock in the middle so that it doesn't tip over. And for another reason, which I'll get to here in a little bit. But you could use a tin can, you can use a plastic bowl, you can use a dog dish if you want to. Just something that is large enough to collect enough water to be worth collecting. And over that you stretch a piece of plastic. I would use, if your hole is 3 feet across, I probably want about double that in width of the plastic. You might be able to get away with a 5-foot wide piece of plastic, but probably not less than that, because what you're going to do is around the edges of the plastic, you're going to put some rocks or dirt or pieces of gravel or something to weigh it down so that your plastic doesn't fall into the hole. But once you've done that, over the center where you've got your can or your water collection container, you basically take a stick, shove it down to where it comes to a cone right over where you want the water droplets to fall. And then what I do is I'll throw a rock in there. Some people will actually tie a knot on the inside of the piece of plastic and even hang something off of that. You don't have to do that. That's a little bit harder to do, but that works. All that matters is in the middle of that, you've got a cone, and the water droplets will actually run down the side. The condensation droplets will run down the side of your plastic, down to the center, and then they'll drip into that can. Now it is a slow process. The hotter it is, the quicker that'll work. The more humidity there is in the soil, the quicker that'll work. One way to speed it up a little bit is if you're in an area where there's plants, you can throw some plants in the bottom of that and then set the can on top of that, and the moisture in the plants will actually condensate or cause quicker condensation. I didn't do that because I want to show that you can do this in a desert. I've seen plenty of YouTube videos where they show you throwing leaves in there. Yes, that works, but they never tell you that that's not necessary. I haven't done that at all, and it's working, and I'm going to show you that here in just a little bit. Now what I do is I take, and you probably saw me holding this piece of PVC tubing here. What is a very good idea is to run a piece of tubing into the center of that water container, run it out to where you can get to it without disturbing your still. What that allows you to do is go out and do, build a structure, get a fire going, go hunting, just basically take care of other things while your solar still is working on its own. And you can come back to it several hours later, preferably probably 12 to 24 hours later. There should be enough water that's collected in there to where you can actually sip on the straw or the tube and drink water directly out of it. The water might be a little bit warm, but it's water nonetheless. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off for now so that you can actually see what we've done. So we'll be right back. Okay, folks, what I'm going to do now is I've had a lot of talk here. I'm going to have Brian go ahead and pan down into our solar still here so you can see what I've made, and you'll see that it's really a simple design here. And I don't know whether you can see the water droplets running down into there. I'm going to tap on it here, and now you can probably see that running down there. And that's essentially all you're doing. You're causing those droplets to go down to the center of the cone, and when they get down there, they collect and then they drip into a can in the bottom of the hole. Again, the hole is about 18 inches deep, 3 feet across. This is just regular plastic that I've used here. It doesn't have to be clear. We use clear plastic because you can see the droplets. It's just a lot easier to see what's going on. If you're not using clear plastic, you want to make sure that the center is over your water collection container. In a situation like that, you might want to use something that's a little bit wider than just a tin can or a large tin can. That way you don't have to be as accurate. But anyway, that's what we've done here. Now, as you can see, I'm pretty sure you can tell that there's water droplets that are running down there. Generally, you're looking at roughly 12 hours to 24 hours to collect about a pint of water. And a pint of water might not sound like a lot, but in a survival situation, that can make the difference between survival and not survival. Anyway, folks, what you want to do, basically, like I said earlier, you set up early. It'll take several hours for this to collect enough water to be able to drink out of it. But once that happens, you should be able to collect roughly a pint of water, I'd say in 24 hours, maybe less, depending on how hot it is and how sunny it is. A pint of water might not sound like a lot, but that can make the difference between life and death. And the nice thing about this system is once you've set it up, this can work for you for several days. If you're going to be in the same area or coming back through this area at a later time, you'll be able to come back to it, basically just pick up the end of the hose and drink, just like drinking out of a straw. And in truth, the water is safe to drink. The condensated water, it's basically like distilled water. Now there are going to be a few impurities in there running down the plastic, depending on where it's been, but it's definitely safer than drinking out of a pond, a lake, a river. This water should not make you sick. All right, folks, what I've done here is I've actually let the solar still set overnight, and we're not quite up to 24 hours, but we're close enough. Just to give you an idea, now I'm looking down there, and I will show, I'll aim the camera down there so you can see it maybe, and I'll actually remove the plastic from the top of the solar still so you can see that that can is full of water. It's still dripping in there, filling up, and I believe it's probably going over the edge. But what I want to do is I'm just going to demonstrate, just by sucking on the straw, I can pull water out of there without disturbing the solar still. So here goes. And just kind of watch here. You might be able to see the water coming up here. And there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim the camera down and basically show you the still once again in case you haven't seen it. and then I'll go ahead and pull the plastic off, show you what I did underneath. You'll be able to see the hole that I dug, about the size and the depth, so you have a really good idea as to how I constructed this solar still. All right, folks, now what I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to go ahead and step behind the camera, and I'm going to pan down just to show you the still one more time, and then I'm going to go ahead and uncover it, take the plastic off the top, just to show you what's underneath, and give you just a full view of how I constructed this this solar still. So if you sit tight, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I don't know how much of me you can see here, but I'm going to go ahead and uncover this and show you what we've got. I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to try to keep all the dirt in the plastic. Well, all right, now I'm going to go ahead and move the camera down. That was actually a little bit heavier than I expected, so I'm going to give you a good shot here. I'm going to move the camera forward. Brian had to leave, so once again I don't have a cameraman. Okay, now I want to make sure you get a good view of this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, show you the can, and you can see how the tube goes into the can, and there's a rock in the bottom just to hold it down. Now that big dirt clod that's off to I guess that would be your right, that fell in when I took the plastic off. I didn't have that in there before, but anyway, this is after actually not even 24 hours, and it filled up that can. I believe that's probably about a 16-ounce can. I'll read that off to you here in a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that out, and we'll go from there. All right, folks, what I've done is I went ahead and dumped the water out, and I pulled the tube out of the tin can, took the rock out, and I just wanted to show you what I did to the end of the tubing. I just took a regular clothespin, pinched it on there so that when I put the tube into the can, I put the rock in there. The rock keeps the can from tipping over. It also keeps the tube from coming out, because it's going to have to pull that clothespin off to do that. Now, one thing that I didn't mention is if you want to filter the large particles out, like any bugs that might fall in there, pieces of dirt and that kind of thing, what you could do is just take a small piece of fabric. You could use a sock even if you want to do that, but anyway, and just put it over the end of your tube. You could either pinch that off with a clothespin, or use a rubber band, tie it off with string, whatever, but that'll serve as a filter that will at least remove any large particles. Now that won't function like a like a small micron or sub-micron type of filter, but it'll get just the unpleasant things out of the water for you. Anyway, for now, I'm going to go ahead and just thank you all for watching. Please you share, like, and subscribe. I will provide some links below for some tubing, so you can check that out, and I'll only put links to BPA-free tubing, so you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, once again, I want to thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon, and bye for now.